Joining us now in studio, head coach DeMeco Ryans. Coach, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you guys.
All right, following the mini bye, and I wanted to ask you about this. It's not a regular bye. It's not a week on either. So how do you handle the situation when you get a couple of days like that?
Yeah, you get a couple of days, just take it to get away and refresh, right? It's just a time to hit reset, right? Just rejuvenate yourselves physically, mentally, and that's what we took these past 3 days to do.
Coach, you sitting home, whether you're here, do you check out the games, or are they just kind of noise in the background, the games that are going on? Do you kind of take a look at them? How do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, we sat at home for a little bit watching the games.
Like everybody.
Had a little youth basketball going on. So my sons were playing basketball, so I was able to go see them play, which was fun. It's always fun to see them, growing and showing their competitive spirit as well. So I had fun doing that and just sit back watching some of the games, and you see just how wild the NFL is.
It is.
Each and every game is something different. A lot of games going down to the last possession, going to overtime. So it's exciting.
Well, you got to feel good about a few things here. In first place in the AFC South, as you take inventory, you're over the halfway hump of the season here. I know you're not playing as well as you possibly want to, but you're playing well enough to have the first place position and a 6-3 record.
Right, we're in a good spot right now at the halfway point, right, to be in first place in our division. Right, got 6 wins out of the first 9, which is pretty good. We'll take that. Of course, a couple games we dropped there that we feel like we should have had, but we didn't make those plays in the game to win them. So, we move forward, we press forward now. It's a great. I think the Thursday game came at a great point in the season. Like right at the halfway point, we get to take a couple of days to refresh, and now we press forward. Now we had 8 games left, and my message to the team is basically like, how do we just get better moving forward? I want to see our team just continue to grow and continue to get better, and see, can we play our best ball down the stretch?
Coach, you kind of hit on it right there that I want to ask you about, because we've never had a bye this late in the year. We haven't gotten to it, and we went for a long stretch. It's a long stretch to play. How important was it to get those couple of days, not a week, but get a couple of days to at least just refresh? And what do you think is more important, the mental freshness or the physical freshness?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's the mental freshness that everyone needs. Coaches, players, like, you just get away from it for them, because you get used, you get into monotony, you get into kind of the hamster wheel. You're just going, it's the next opponent, and you kind of just get so locked in there that you need everybody, whatever type of work that we do, everybody needs that rest and recovery, and it's hard to get that in the NFL season, especially when you have such a late bye week as we have. But man, everyone needed that little refresher to get ourselves right mentally, to spend time with the family, which is very important and vital, because I always feel like if you're personally, right, if you're good away from the building, that's going to make you better once you're in the building. So I'm encouraged, I'm refreshed, I'm excited to see what's ahead for us.
How hard is it for you to completely unplug, even for a few hours, Coach? Because I know you got to have a feeling of, hey, if I call so-and-so and I got an idea about this or that or the other thing, how hard is it to let go like that?
It is hard. It's hard to let go, because it's just, football, it consumes us. Our job, it consumes everybody around us. They're asking or trying to send some encouraging words or whatever the case may be. So it does consume us. So I take the phone and I just chunk it out of the way. I don't want to, nobody texts me, everybody has the answers to how everybody turns into a coach, and that's when I just throw the phone away.
So with the game on Thursday, Coach, I know you don't want to look too much in the past, but just in looking back, I know you and I talked after the game about just as it happened, the frustrations that you had. As you went back and you watched the film, did you feel any better about some of those things? Like, you know what? In the game, I kind of had this feel, but I go back and watch the film, and I kind of got this feeling about it. Do you have any kind of thoughts about what you were frustrated about, that maybe you saw it a little bit differently as you watched the film?
It's the same frustration for me. I wish it was different, but it's the same. It's just like we were in a really good spot going into the half, and I mean, just to come out at halftime, and it's something we kind of been focusing on, is being better coming out of the half, and for us to not stop the run, it was just the same. That this doesn't sit well with me, right? How we fit the run, that's the one thing, and then just operation, like just not playing the right way offensively, right? And we got ourselves in in shooting range, right? We were there across midfield a couple times, and then we find ourselves going backwards, right? So those things just didn't sit well with me, and they're all fixable, right? And that's the encouraging part about going forward. Like, man, they're all fixable, right? We know how to fit the run. We know how to play the run. We got to, of course, it's going to come up this week. We got to be more physical. We got to set edges offensively. Let's execute better. Let's operate faster, and let's just keep pressing forward, moving the ball forward. But still a little frustration.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like I tell the guys, like in this league, like there are a lot of ups and downs. We talk about building a foundation. We talk about the grind of a season, right? There are always ups and downs of a season, but how strong is your foundation that allows you to withstand, right? A little wind, little waves that come at you. It's just about being steady, right? And that's where I want our team focused on, just us being steady, focusing on ourselves, and let's keep pressing forward. We lost the game. Right? One we felt like, we should have won it. It didn't happen. They made more plays than we did. At the end of the day, what do we do about it? We don't suck. We don't just hold our heads down because of it. Man, there was some good players. Wilson made two. Unbelievable catches. Right. It's some things. It's just it happened. It was bad. It happened. Now we press forward.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to look at what you have to work with, right? You talked about Mixon. Tank had a really big game the other night. You had some positives going on that you can build with.
Yeah, a ton of positives, man. That's where I like to live on those positives, right? Tank, man, making plays for us. You know, when we give the ball to Joe, something good is going to happen, right? So it's us trying to find a way to lean into that a little bit more, right? Because Joe has been such a productive player, right, an impact player for us, right? And we've been blocking it really well in the run game, and that's been a strength of ours.
I want to ask you about this, and not about anybody specific, but when you have players who are out and they might be able to go, but it's kind of iffy, how tough are those decisions? Because you might think, well, another week would be good, but we could really use you, but we don't want to make you worse. That must be really difficult to decide those things.
Oh, that's one of the toughest spots being a head coach, right? Of having to make that call of if a guy's close, but we still don't know. For me, I'll always lean towards making sure a player long-term health is always at the forefront of my decision, as opposed to, come back a week too soon and now we lose you for, call it 4 or 5 more weeks. So let's make sure, right, you can practice throughout the week, right? And let's make sure you can show your teammates and yourself, you can gain that confidence. I can go out and perform my job to the highest level.
You have to tell them to sit down? Like, hey, you got to sit, and they want to play?
Sometimes throughout my conversation with them, I talk around, and I let them make that decision.
Well, that's what I was going to say. During the game, I would imagine that's pretty tough because you're focused, hey, I want to make sure I got the right defensive call against this offensive scheme, and then he's sitting there going, I want to go back in. How tough is it during the game to kind of handle that?
Yeah, it's very hard. Because if they felt something where they had to leave the game, obviously they're not going to be at their best.
Sure.
So is that guy at 70% better than our other guys who are fresh and ready to go? Right. I'm always on, let's get as many healthy guys out there as possible going 100%, and that's going to be better than a guy who's hobbled.
All right, so the Detroit Lions coming in, and they're pretty good. I'm sure you've heard about that. So what do you think, just zooming out and zooming in toward them as they head in here on Sunday night?
Yeah, zooming out. This team is, I've heard all the buzz about the team, right? And you put on the tape, and it shows, right? They have a really cool play style. They play the game how I envision a football being played. They're physical. They're tough. Right, all across the offense, their defense, especially all of them are very tough physical players, and it shows on tape. Right, offensively, they do a really good job of running the ball, putting the quarterback in good spots. It's not a lot of drop back passes, but they do a good job of play action. That's what Goff has been really good at since he was with the Rams. The play action passing game, good decision maker. Not loose with the football. He doesn't throw a ton of interceptions. He finds the open guys, and they do a really good job of just their run after catch. So it may be some short intermediate passes, but the way, St. Brown, all this Gibbs, how they turn a short check down or a short pass, how they turn that into explosives, it's been really, really cool to see. And then they have Jamison Williams, who is explosive, deep play threat. So they have a lot of playmakers all across the field. Defensively, they play really good ball. Aaron Glenn has done a great job with this unit. I mean, they're a top 10 in all of the most important categories. Talk about points, red zone, third down. They're a top 10 defense, tackle well, take the football away. Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, two really good safeties, young players who are impact players for their defense. So, man, I love this matchup.
Yeah.
And I talked to our guys about earning it. You got to go prove it each week. Like, hey, this is it. Sunday night, our play is going to be outstanding environment. I see we're in all red, battle red. So, I mean, what a cool environment. What a team who's been, I think they've lost one game, so they're riding high. And so if we want to go out and show the people who we are, let's go do it this week.
And, Coach, they're just watching them on film. Even on offense, it feels like their physicality is maybe the best part of their overall team. And I mean, I'm just talking to lines. Like, I'm on Raul, go out there and block you and knock you into the bleachers. It feels like to beat them, you got to match and exceed their physicality.
Yeah, you have to. And that's what, I've been standing on is we're going to be a physical football team. Yep. Well, the matchup this week is all about let's see how physical we are. Like you said, from their receivers, their tight ends, like, of course, their offensive line. They'll add in an extra offensive lineman to run the football. I mean, they'll go jumbo personnel in the middle of the field, and they're daring you to stop the run. So I love that matchup. A little bit of my former linebacker mindset is coming out, but I love this matchup versus these guys just to see where our guys stack up.
Yeah. It's your third primetime game this regular season, and you went through it at home already with the Bears, Sunday night primetime at NRG Stadium. How much does that help to have gone through that whole experience, waiting around all day? We were talking to Cade. He said, waiting around all day is a thing, and I know you could probably relate as a player. So what about that part of it?
Yeah, our guys they've done it 2 times already, right? And we had a really good game versus the Bears. This Thursday game, that felt like forever. I guess being on the East Coast, the extra hour, it felt like it was forever just waiting. But our guys have been in this environment at home Sunday night. They know what it feels like. So the preparation, the schedule, it's all the same schedule. So they should be used to it by now. And want to be a good team, you got to get used to schedules being adjusted, playing in those primetime spots. So I'm happy, excited that our team gets to get these moments in the primetime. Now we just have to go capitalize on them.
Coach, the other night against the Jets, you got them into some third down situations, and DeMeco really kind of showed up, and it really looked like, okay, that's the DeMeco we remember from seeing him with the Colts and the Titans, and it was really nice to see that. What do you kind of think as he kind of gets into a third or fourth game? Now he's kind of finding a little bit of a groove. What do you think of DeMeco the other night?
Yeah, I thought it was really, like you said, what we expected from him, and it was cool to see. I know his first game back, as I mentioned earlier, he was trying to get his feet underneath him, getting used to it, but now, like, you saw the presence that he has inside as a rusher, like his quickness and his power matched with the power against inside players, whether it's a guard or a center. Like, he can dominate inside, and so we want to continue to live in that, where we're putting him in those positions, try to get him some more one-on-one opportunities versus guards, where I feel like he will win 9 out of 10 of those matchups, and it's only going to get better moving forward with DeMeco. So very pleased with the game that he had.
Well, we talked about the weekend off, but you have a day Monday before the mandatory day off Tuesday. So in this kind of context, Coach, how do you handle the Monday of getting back into a normal game week routine?
Yeah, this Monday, we call it a bonus Monday. So we get a bonus day to prepare. We get our guys we get a chance to just really deep dive and into a look into ourselves. Like, let's look and see where we can improve, where your fundamentals, techniques, and those things. We don't have to worry. We truly focus on an opponent right today. So as we're watching film and those, it's truly on, like, let's just hit reset and let's go back to our day one training camp, fundamentals, execution. And it's a great moment at the season to go back and hit those. Because sometimes you get lost right in the game planning and who you're playing against. And this player, this matchup, like, no, let's just forget the matchups and let's just take a look at ourselves and see where can we get better.
So it's not a full bye week from that standpoint. So you got a couple days. is that enough time to get kind of a self-scout done, or do you kind of just quickie self-scout over the last couple of days, Coach? Kind of how do you, I don't want to say how do you talk about getting improved, but do you do a little bit of a self-scout as you go through the last couple of days of like, okay, these are things we did, because it's right at the halfway mark. Hey, these are the things we did in the first half. These are the things we got to do better in the second half of the season.
For sure. It's definitely a self-scout, and I'm always about self-scouting after every 4 games just to get a quick snapshot. But this time you're able to really just, take a breather and digest the information and see, okay, what are our tendencies, where we've been heavy, like where can we change things up a little bit, and where can we just lean into like putting our players in the best position possible for them to succeed after a snapshot of 9 weeks. You get to see, okay, this player is really – excelled in this area, not so well in this area, so we can lean more this way. So it's a lot of that self-reflection and really looking into who we really are. And as I talk through it with our coaches, it's like each season is different. Each team is different, and your team kind of shapes itself throughout the season, and you kind of see, okay, this is our 2024 identity. This is what we kind of need to do to win games moving forward.
All right, so this is a self-serving question for me. Meeting with the broadcasters before the game. We've mentioned this before, but now you've been through the full gauntlet of all the primetime crews, right? You had Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit last week. You've had Tirico and Collinsworth. You had Buck and Aikman last year, right? We had Nance and Romo, right? So what is that like meeting with those guys for you? What can you tell the listeners about that?
Those are always fun, right? It's for me, it's you get to see these guys who you hear all the time on the broadcast, but it's always cool. They just want to know more about. They want to take a deeper dive into the players and the impact players, and they want to know a little bit more about the guys so they can tell the story as they're on TV. So a lot of questions on the guys. I think it depends on the crew. Some crews they're really dialed in and they know like the roster really well, and some just asked me to give a one-liner on all my guys. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't go through all that.
On all your guys. All your guys?
And that was an outlier for sure. But for the most part, they're pretty –
inquiring minds want to know.
Can't tell you.
Okay.
We'll keep that one quiet. How about your TV preseason crew? They're pretty good. They're pretty fair with your time.
Now my preseason TV crew, that's the best.
Yeah.
Can I have them every week?
There you go. Right. Would love. Yeah. That would definitely be awesome for sure. Yeah.
Very good stuff. When do you put in the game plan? When does that happen during a given week, and is it different this week?
Yeah, when we put the game plan in on Wednesday with our players, and that's more of our first and second down game plan. So as coaches, we'll go through it Monday, Tuesday, and kind of hash out like, okay, this would be our core of what we're doing first and second down, and then we spend Wednesday evening really diving into third down, and that's where we come back Thursday morning and we'll implement our third down, goal line, short yardage, all right, presentation to our players and our game plan. And then Friday is big red zone day. And that's how spread the red zone. And then also, I forgot, also 2-minute goes in on Wednesday as well. So it's a lot to crunch in, a lot of different areas of the game. But you make sure you hit, especially the situations. You want to make sure you're really dialed into those situations. As I continue to look at it throughout the week, I may have some thoughts that change. So I may come in on Saturday morning with, hey, guys, I know we were thinking this way, but as I continue to watch it, like I really want to flip the script and go a different route. So.
Do you ever call something during a game that you might not have planned on for that particular week, but it's going to work right here in the context of that game? And
all the time.
Okay, all the time. Yeah.
That's why I try to make sure our guys just have a really good understanding of everything we're doing philosophically, like coverage-wise, pressure-wise, and to make sure I always tell the coach, I always have a few things in my back pocket that we have a game plan, but make sure they can always run these.
Well, that's what I was going to you went right exactly where I was going, and that is if you see something during the week and you want to make a change, you're going to make the change. There's no doubt, obviously, if you see it during the week. But if it's something on Saturday, Sunday, and you haven't worked on something, potentially in practice, maybe it's something you did in week 2.
Yes.
But now in week 10 or whatever it is, man, we haven't worked on it in a while. Do you have any hesitation about bringing it back and using it, even if you haven't worked on it during the practice week, Coach?
Yeah, no. The things that I'll pull back out. It's things that we've already worked on before.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be foreign to our
Yeah,
guys. And so we have such smart players.
Sure.
Like with Jalen, E. Murray, like Stingley. It's so many smart guys who are able to adjust on the fly. And that's what allows me to be able to do those things and throw something at the guys that we haven't ran in a while just because of how sharp the guys are with any adjustments that I throw at them.
Hey, you were asked in the press conference about injured players and guys who might replace whoever and who needs to step up. How hard is it for guys to step up during the course of a season in practice, Coach? How hard is it for them to impress the coaches when you're not having these training camp type practices now where it's just full on every single day? So what about that part of it?
Yeah, it's very hard to do physically in practice, right? I think the main part of stepping up is when your coaches and everybody around you trust you mentally with the preparation. And that's where we are at this point in the season. It's more the mental prep and guys you trust that can go in and do things the proper way. And that's where I think guys can step up in that manner. It's not going to be a physical, like, oh, I seen him, have such great reps this week physically. It's hard to do, right? Especially when there are not many competitive reps throughout the season, just because we're got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves so we're healthy on Sunday.
Coach, we've been around you enough to know that you care for everybody that comes in this building that puts on a logo. And it's not like the cut down day, but trade deadline can be one of those days where maybe somebody's coming in that might take a job of somebody or somebody's going out, whatever the case might be. For a coach, is it a little tougher kind of going through that situation and kind of explain to players, like, if they come to you, hey, why are we doing this? What's going on? Is it kind of a tough week, kind of the business of football going on as you head up to the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, anytime we have those transactions with players, and in my seat in the past 2 years as I've done it, like most players generally understand.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that's one thing I was always kind of apprehensive about, man. It was always a hard thing of telling a player no or telling a player we're moving in a different direction. But what's helped me is just, man, how the players have handled it. Like they've helped me deliver the news in a different way, just because I see how easy it is to communicate that, because I'm just trustworthy. I tell the guys the truth. I try not to sugarcoat it or tell them something it can come back and, hey, Coach, well, you said, it's like, no, I'm a man of my word, and what we say, we stick by, and it's really, really great to have Nick, who is the same way. Like, we're going to tell it straight. And so players understand exactly where our position is.
Yeah. All right, the Amegy Bank Ask Coach question of the week. And, Coach, I know you make a lot of tough decisions. You get asked a lot of tough questions. This is going to be one of them. When is the proper time to start playing Christmas music? Because once Halloween ended, November 1st, I'm hearing it, and
Already?
is it too early? When is the right time?
It's a little too early right now. I think after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving
for me.
Seems fair.
After Thanksgiving dinner, now it's time to start a little Christmas music.
Okay.
I'm good with that. My wife watched 5 Christmas Hallmark movies on Saturday.
Already?
I had my college games on my computer, and she was watching all Christmas movies
It's
already.
85 degrees.
24/7, 365.
Man, Christmas movies are the best, though.
They are.
They are. Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.